All right. I don't really want to talk about this, but it looks like we're going to have to just because he is um, going off on a tangent again. Looks like Andrew Tate is throwing a tantrum to all the crybabies because um, Muslims had the audacity to push back on the false narrative that he keeps pushing, along with Elon Musk and Tommy Robinson and all these other Delulu garbage people on Twitter. Um, so yeah, let's take a look at the video that he said and let's see what he has to say.
So many of my Islamic brothers are upset with me right now. They're arguing the semantics of a post I made explaining that people, white Christians, are going to be very Islamophobic if we do not come out in defense of young innocent children. And they're not thinking correctly for a few reasons. One, because if we only allow
Okay, so the first thing is we're not upset that you are calling out the essay of young women. We believe that it should be called out. The problem is you're lying about Muslims not condemning it. The Muslims have repeatedly condemned it. Or they condemned it when it happened 13 years ago, and they condemned it when you and your ilk of Elon Musk and Tommy Robinson and all these garbage people came out and rehashed the situation. Look, we do believe that it shouldn't have happened. We do believe it is wrong, and we do condemn it. It's not our fault that nobody's showing the condemnation. Piers Morgan's not talking about the condemnation. The media is not showing our condemnations because it doesn't matter. It doesn't sell. Every time a terrorist attack happens, we're made to condemn it. But they never show the condemnation. And then you get the, do you condemn, do you condemn, do you condemn? Yeah, you can go on our Twitter and you'll see that we did condemn it. Or at the very least, we didn't defend it.
Zionists to be the ones who are against the rape of children, then Zionists are going to appeal to the masses because most people agree that little kids shouldn't be raped. And that, considering it was Muslim men who committed...
Okay, this Zionist line is completely crazy. I don't know why he's bringing Zionists into this, but if we want to talk about Zionists, first and foremost, let's ask why he's bringing in Zionism. He's bringing in Zionism to try and win back the young Muslim men that he cultivated into his audience, who are now leaving after seeing who he really is, that he's just a grifter, using them as a way to further his own reach. Okay? Then secondly, Zionists have literally defended the IDF's ability to use SA against Palestinians. There were, I think it was 7 or 11, I would have to check again, soldiers. Everyone knows this story, and Owen Jones has really gone into it if you want to learn more about it, but they were arrested for committing assault against Palestinian prisoners, and Israelis rioted. Right-wing Israelis rioted in defense of grape. So don't come at me like, oh, the Zionists are the only ones. What does Zionism have to do with this? What we're talking about is the false narrative you are pushing that Muslim men are invading the UK and hurting the young women and whatnot. Just delusional.
These heinous acts. We, as Muslims, should be offended and come out against them. Secondly, they're saying, oh, look, but a white man raped kids too. That's not what we're talking about. People of all races and all ethnicities rape kids. What we're talking...
Exactly. But you keep pushing the one from 13 years ago when 2% of all SA in the UK is done by Pakistani Muslim whatever men. 2% too much, but 2%. 88% are done by white men, but you don't talk about it. Why? Because it doesn't fit the narrative you're trying to push. Right? We see your tweets. Make UK Christian again. Make UK white again. The Muslim invasion of Europe needs to stop. We see it. Just because you convert to Islam doesn't mean you can't be Islamophobic. Just absolutely delusional.
talking about the fact that when Muslims do it, it's covered up by a government. When a white man does it, it is not. These are
Okay. Yeah. I mean, what can I say? It shouldn't have happened. This idea that the government was afraid that they would be canceled because they were going to prosecute brown men for heinous crimes that they committed? No, that's ridiculous. They should have. And it should not have happened, and the government needs to reckon with this, but that doesn't mean we need to push a narrative that attacks an entire community. Because the entire community didn't band together to protect them. If the government did, that's on the government. And I want to point out that one thing we don't talk about, there is a very significant Muslim man involved in this, and that's the prosecutor who prosecuted this gang in Rochdale. Or was it Rotherham? I need to bring up his name. It was Nasir. What was his name? Oh yeah, Nazir Afzal. Should have had this ready, but it is okay. And here it is. And here it is. Nazir Afzal, who it was a chief crown prosecutor, violence control gender. Yeah, one of the first decisions on becoming a chief crown prosecutor was to initiate prosecution in the case of the Rochdale child SA ring, overturning an earlier decision by the CPS. He suggested that white professionals' oversensitivity to political correctness and fear of appearing racial may well have contributed to justice being stalled. See, he is a Muslim man. He's the one who prosecuted them. But you don't ever want to talk about that. Look, what the government did was wrong. If it's true. It was wrong, and I fully condemn them doing that. But that doesn't mean you get to attack a whole community because of the actions of the government. It's ridiculous.
They're actually completely different subjects, but these people are too stupid to understand them. They've attacked me now, and they think by trying to vilify me and endlessly attack me for clicks, somehow it's going to help them in their standing in Western societies. And I want to make something very clear. I live in the most Christian country in the world. My reversion to Islam was extremely risky to do. I'm in the middle of the largest and most famous criminal case on the planet.
This is the man that everyone looked at for manhood. He's crying about getting attacked and vilified on the internet. Oh, poor alpha boy got attacked. I thought you were alpha male. I thought you were an alpha male. If you're an alpha male, act like an alpha male. Get over it. It's the internet. People are gonna be garbage to you on the internet. But these people were pushing against a false narrative that you're trying to push. That's what's happening. And if you're gonna cry about it, cry about it. Who gives a damn? Mr. Alpha Male.
All of my judges are Christians. I live in a Christian society that is very fearful of Muslims. I have suffered for my reversion. I also stood up to Piers Morgan on October 8th, the day after, and against all legal advice, made it clear that what was happening was a genocide. And I stood up on the most watched platform on the planet in the middle of a criminal case with Christian judges judging me, and I stood there defending Muslims. And this same community...
Okay, so what? You stood up for something that is objectively wrong, or stood against a genocide. What this is telling me is that that's transactional to you, that you only stood up for it, and in response, and in return, you should get what? Adoration, respect. Why? No. You cannot be an ally if it's transactional. That's not true allyship. Either you believe that Gaza genocide is wrong, or you're doing it for self-promotion and self-gain. And if that's the case, then you're no different from all the other profiteers of genocide. Because you're profiting via attention.
of Muslims then turn on me and attack me because I gave my daughter a Christmas present, because you're not supposed to celebrate Christmas. And they...
Yeah, I don't really care about that. I didn't see that, but again, you're Mr. Alpha Male. This is the internet. Why are you crying about that? Oh, they came at you on Twitter about you giving a Christmas present to your daughter. Get over it. Who cares?
They start saying, I'm not really a Muslim because I tried to give my daughter a Christmas present and I need to argue with them about the Quran on my Twitter all day and I need to reply to them, otherwise I'm afraid of them. You people are not in control of Islam at all. It's not yours.
That's true.
You don't own it.
That's
and I don't
true.
owe you a fucking thing. You're all irrelevant because you're just sitting there all day tweeting at me as I've blocked you. And I will block every single person.
That's what all this is about. It's about relevance to him. He just wants to be relevant. And right now, the big right-wing manosphere thing is this grooming gang from 13 years ago. That doesn't mean it isn't bad today. It's still bad. It happened 13 years ago. It's still bad today. But there are more recent cases we can talk about, but they're not Muslim. Or at least they're not Muslim passing or Pakistani. And that's why they're not talking about the more recent ones. They're not talking about the 88% of white men who commit SA. They're not talking about the fact that the Home Office of the UK government released a report saying that a majority of grooming gangs are white British males. No. They don't want to talk about that. They want to talk about a case from 13 years ago because it fits a narrative that they're trying to push.
Person who comes at me in bad faith.
A racist narrative, might I add.
If you come at me in good faith for a conversation that you want to have a logical conversation about Islam, I'd love to do that. I'd enjoy it. But when you come at me attacking me to try and get clicks, you just get blocked.
No. They did come at you in good faith. They showed you Muslims condemning the gangs, and they explained to you why the Muslim narrative that you're pushing was wrong. You keep pushing this whole narrative that Muslims are defending them when they aren't. When they showed you the condemnations. When they showed you the people who were saying that they should be punished severely, even to the highest extent of the law, maybe even worse, some of them were saying. I'm not saying, look, I don't want to talk about that stuff. What I want to talk about is the fact that we did condemn it, we do not support it, and we would never support it. The reason they're coming at you, and it is in good faith, and it becomes bad faith when you keep pushing a narrative that puts Muslims in the crosshairs. You have to understand, we do still live in these communities. You know, our children need to go to school. We need to go to work. We need to buy groceries. We need to interact with with society. But you're pushing a narrative that's putting us in danger. That we all support the SA and of grooming gangs as long as they're Muslim or some bullcrap like that. We can't just let you sit back and make fun of our or harm our community. We can't. And that's what you're doing. So we did come in good faith, and you blocked us because you're the crybaby.
It's insanity. The hubris and the lack of respect that these people are operating under does nothing which is positive for the image of Islam. And anybody who is defending child rapists just because they're Muslims is aiding Islamophobia.
Nobody is defending them. And if you show me a Muslim or a non-Muslim defending them, I will be first in line to condemn them with you. We are not a monolith. Okay? If you saw one guy, I saw one. I did see one. He's a known grifter. He's been using Palestine as a way to, further his career. His name's Suleiman something, Sheikh Suleiman or something on Twitter. Not Omar Suleiman. That guy's legit. Some other like sneakosphere type, Andrew Tate type grifter. He's running something about how it's a plot to make Pakistani men look bad and whatnot, and he's like saying it's an op or whatever. Yeah, that guy's an idiot, and I'm the first to condemn him. I've seen many people condemn him. I have seen sheikhs sit down and talk to him. Muslim religious scholars sit down and talk to him and explain to him that he was wrong. But he's in it as a grifter. He's part of your ilk, by the way. So even if there are 100 of the people like that, man, we're not a monolith. The majority of Muslims are normal people, man, who absolutely condemn it. And I can't believe we're having this conversation in 2025. But we're not... No, I've not seen one person defend it. Like, legitimately defend it. That wasn't a grifter, that is.
And aiding the narrative control that certain populations inside on this planet want to have when it comes to Muslims. So, if you dislike me, you can dislike me. If you think I'm not a real Muslim, that's...
Okay, he's just going to go on and talk about, him being a real Muslim and whatnot. I'm not that interested in that. I just wanted to talk about how he is pushing a narrative. He's pushing a narrative that is hurting our community. And I think it's funny that so many of our young Muslim brothers saw him as some arbiter of manhood or manliness. Why? The guy goes around sitting in his underwear, smoking cigars, driving super nice cars, spending money on bling and cars, and playing poker with the boys. Who cares? That's manhood to you? You think that's manhood? Come on, man. He wasn't even saying... Like, even when I saw him first convert and all these Muslims like, oh, he knows what he's saying, the truth. Oh, and I would watch it and he was saying nothing. But young Muslim men are so insecure. They're looking for validation from everybody outside of our community for some reason. For what? Grow a backbone and realize that you don't need validation from anybody. I don't want to get into this. This isn't about... this doesn't need to be a lecture to Muslim men or anything like that. But I just wanted to show you guys what this grifter, this absolute grifter, who used a conversion to or reversion to capture you into his audience so he could keep grifting you. His crypto scams, his Hustler Academy or whatever it's called, all grifts. All grifts. But he knew that if he could get young impressionable men onto his side and into his funnel to all these little courses that he sells, that he'd make some money. And that's exactly what this Bruv Party thing that he's doing is. It's a grift. He's not running for prime minister. But Elon Musk is going to, amplify it. And more people are going to donate money to him, making him even richer. You guys are ridiculous. But yeah, that's the video, guys. Let it be known that every Muslim that I know has condemned or does condemn these grooming gangs. They don't support it. And if we were ever to know about a grooming gang within our communities, within our mosques, we would 100% report it. What are you talking about? We don't want that stuff near us, near our children, near our community centers. And also, we just don't want that. Well, it's ridiculous. Anyways, there's not much else to say anymore. It's clear that Andrew Tate is just running with the newest manosphere stuff. And right now it's in a 13-year-old case about a grooming gang that was predominantly Pakistani men, which was a heinous act. But again, it isn't all Muslims. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day.